Hey, this is a new Civil War reenactor with a video on how to get prepared for a Civil War event so you don't maybe look like this. All right, nothing too critical on these guys. It just looks like someone were missing jackets. Who knows? Maybe they filled in some of those items because they weren't prepared for the event. That's what we obviously want to avoid doing. I don't claim to be perfect, but here's a quick video of me being fully kitted up. And so hopefully this shares with you how I get to that level. So I put together a document before I do Civil War events that helps me get prepared so that I'm fully ready for the event and that I'm not missing anything. My biggest fear is like showing up at an event and missing a critical item that keeps me from participating. So this list is also on my phone. I recommend that you create a list on your phone, obviously, so then you can carry it in your garage and be prepared that way. Most of these items are pretty standard, whether it's a campaign event or mainstream event. You're going to have your rifle, your socks, shirt, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the stuff that I carry on me to the event, not the stuff I keep in my car. The food items are always being changed. Most of this stuff is pretty universal campaign or mainstream. I mean, bacon, probably not so much. That'd be more for a mainstream event. Cornbread, probably unrealistic you'd have that, but it's enjoyable to eat and it's not too far off. I mean, they could have had cornbread that they either made or acquired when they went through a town. But I'm always adjusting this based upon the event. Most of these other items are just kind of necessary stuff that you're going to want to have on you. For FARB events, I I'm sorry, for mainstream events, I have some FARB events. Like, again, I think it's unrealistic. I see sometimes campaigners carry two, three blankets because it's cold out. I mean, really, probably a gun blanket and one blanket was realistic. So to me, it's already Farby if you have multiple blankets. I know this is super Farby, but I'd rather carry hot toes. My feet get cold. If you're not familiar with hot toes, they're just like a plastic packet. You rip off the top, crumple it, and then they heat up on their own. There's some sort of chemical in them, but you can attach those to the bottom of your socks at night. Nobody's going to see that. Keep your feet warm. If you keep your head and your feet warm, you will stay warm. Like you could have one blanket and it could be 40 degrees and you will be warm. So these other things I keep in there that are kind of unique, car key holder. I just put my car keys in like a plastic Tupperware thing that locks just because I don't want it getting wet and me being stranded somewhere. Fire starters, yes, I could start a fire using a candle, but why not just use a fire starter? Those things, if you're not familiar, they burn very heavily. So even if the wood is wet, it'll probably eventually start a fire. Cigars are period correct for maybe an officer, although I'm portraying a private, so that's why I put them there. You certainly could use regular matches, but lighter makes it easier. Toilet wipes, that's just me being clean. I mean, I guess I could be real Civil War-ish and get dysentery, but I don't really want to. These items I kind of cut out, like Bible. I am Christian. I do believe in the Bible and follow Christian practices. I just don't have time for it. Same thing, toothpaste powder. I thought it was kind of nichey and fun at first, but then I'm like, okay, no time for it. Then you got to find, then you're wasting water supply. I mean, these events are usually 2 days. You're usually fine without brushing, as gross as that sounds. Um, Watch. I mean, you don't need that. The officers tell you you got Reveille. I don't even know why I bought one. You know, Candle lantern. I don't really need that. Most of the time you're around the fire enjoying the company of your comrades there. So, like, what's the point of a candle lantern? I mean, if you really need to see something, yes, you can whip out your phone, unless it's like a Liberty Rifles event. Um, Tobacco, the pipe is just too difficult to manage for me. Like it's always going out, so I'm gonna probably pass on that. Again, I'm always updating this list. That's the beautiful part of keeping it on your phone. Gum blanket session. Have a second gum blanket. I cut out a piece, and I do this for campaign events because I might want to make biscuits, and obviously you just need flour and water. But that's good to have like a little cutout section you can put that on. You might say, well, why not just use your gum blanket? That's because I spray it with tick spray. So there's items that I will do before I go to an event that are important. Like I'll make sure I have an extra cell phone battery in my car because you're not gonna have a charger out there, right? So I personally have one of those ones that like has a magnet attaches to the back of your phone. I just keep it in my glove compartment. I don't need to take it to the campsite, but it's there in case I need it in an emergency. Extra, this is like an air tag. Not a bad idea if you want to put something like that on your phone or car keys or whatever, so that God forbid you drop it in the field, you can find it. Gas in your car. That's just proper prep before a trip. Hatchet, extra supplies. Most of the stuff I just keep in the car, right? Like there's usually water at a company level, but if there isn't, I want to have like, 6 bottles of water in the car so that I can use in case the water's not potable. That happened at one of our events and people got super sick. They thought it was potable water they were drinking. One of the guys had to go to the emergency room. So it's just like kind of silly to not have extra water in your car in the event that they don't have it there. I spray my stuff down, my stuff being my gun blanket, my blankets, and my trousers about 2 to 3 days before the event. I also make cornbread, which obviously has eggs in there a couple days before the event. Otherwise, it could spoil if you make it too early. But I don't want to make it the last day, so I'm always like loading my car up with stuff. And then Civil War flag and all that. I'll usually put all the stuff in my car to stage it a few days in advance. I usually clean my musket on Thursday afternoon before, let's say, a Friday event. So this stuff just helps get you prepared, but I'd recommend you start with a list like this. I even, as neurotic as it sounds, put on my full gear and get prepared for the event, and I compare it with a photo of myself prior to the event to make sure I'm not missing something because it's easy to forget a cat pouch or a cartridge box or maybe to load those things but forget to put the caps in them. So if you fully kit out and like look at your stuff, you're not going to forget anything. Since I follow this process, I've forgotten nothing. So anyway, I hope this helps for you new Civil War reenactors, and happy reenacting to everybody out there.